Hello, I'm Stephen Chun, and you're watching Money in Tech, and we are here at Coin Congress in San Francisco, and we're joined here by Sergey Nazarov, co-founder and CEO of Secure Asset Exchange. Sergey, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How's your Coin Congress going so far?
It's great, lots of smart people.
Now, tell us, we were kind of chatting off camera, and you had kind of just side groups. Tell us what was going on in those kind of small discussion groups.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the focus right now is on smart contracts and how you can get smart contracts working into some form of minimal viable product to get it out into the market, because I think a lot of people are eager to see the potential of the blockchain be realized. I think there's a few different dimensions of what a smart contract could be, which it would be good to have more clarity on. So there's a simpler version of a smart contract where you just write contractual terms and computer code into a blockchain. Then there's the verification of those terms. And then there's also the enforcement. So in my mind, those are the three kind of levels of difficulty of making smart contracts trustless, right? So that they work. So the first trustless piece is that you're writing them into a database that now cannot be modified, right? So that creates things like permanent online reputation for performance of contractual terms, which is in itself very, very valuable. Then you need a computing environment that people trust to verify whether those contractual terms are being fulfilled. That also needs to be trusted on any number of dimensions. And now a lot of the conversations are about how do you in a trustless way verify, and then more importantly, based on that verification, based on did the person do X or Y or something else, how do you kick off enforcement in a way that's also trustworthy, right? So those are very big problems, but I think the technology to solve them is finally emerging, and I think that there are a few people that aren't waiting.
So what makes it completely decentralized?
So the strongest version of a smart contract is when you have decentralized computing, and that would be when the server-side process of actually verifying and enforcing a smart contract would happen on a decentralized network of nodes, just like something like Bitcoin exists right now. That's a very difficult technological problem to solve because you need to make virtual machine technology work in a way that is difficult to do well. That's a very idealized version of smart contracts. My belief and what we're working on is that you can get to a certain level of smart contracts that is written into a blockchain, is verified by any number of services, and it can still function and provide the value of a smart contract to a certain degree, and that degree is enough for certain use cases.
Now you bring up a good point. How does smart contracts relate to NXT blockchain specifically?
So specifically, we've done it on NXT. NXT is the third, fourth most valuable cryptocurrency in general. It fluctuates sometimes on a daily basis between third and fourth, but it's definitely the first most valuable by market cap blockchain 2.0 cryptocurrency.
So what are the benefits of running it on the NXT blockchain?
Well, the benefits of running it on the NXT blockchain is that the messaging capabilities and the capabilities, NXT, it wasn't made to be another payments cryptocurrency. It was made to be a platform for doing things like smart contracts and decentralized exchange. So the benefits is that NXT was architected in a way to allow you to write other types of information into a blockchain very quickly and securely, right? So the quickly is 1 minute block generation times as opposed to 10 minutes or 40 minutes or something like this. So it's down to a minute.
Significant, big difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference. It's good, yes. It's a very positive thing that they've done, and it's very positive for something like decentralized exchange when you want. So yeah, that's another very good thing that that's what we started building a secure asset exchange on top of, is the May 12th launch of NXT's decentralized exchange, which really is pretty revolutionary because there's been a few people that have tried to do decentralized exchange, but they haven't succeeded on the level that NXT has, because just if you look at the basic numbers, since May 12th, there have been 190 assets, tradable decentralized assets issued, and on average, there's 3 being issued daily. There's nobody who's tried to do truly decentralized exchange that has come close to those numbers, even within periods a year period, right? This is like a month and a half, 2 months period. So fundamentally, NXT as a platform is working.
So you may have explained it kind of in bits and pieces, but kind of walk through us step by step how to create a smart contract using your creator.
So it's really very simple. You would go on secureae.com. You would sign up, which is just a very simple process where we generate you a secure password. You should keep that password because we don't keep it for you. We don't have your password at any point in time. And if you lose your password, you lose access to your account. And that's very important.
It's a very important note of information for our viewers.
We put it out there. We make people re-enter the password before they can continue to make sure they've recorded it. But the benefit of that is you don't have to trust us with keeping your password or having access to your account, which we think is a very large benefit. You do that, you sign up, that's very quick, that's literally like a few seconds. Then you go to create smart contract and you give it a title. You make natural language, just description, this kind of smart contract is for this and that purpose between these and these parties for this and this. You enter the amount of smart contracts that you're issuing. So you can issue 100 or 1 million, however many units you want to issue. And then you assign a value to it. And that value is written into the NXT blockchain and is then verified against, external things to see have you fulfilled that value of the contract. And you also define an expiration date. So you define a date at which the smart contract is done or by which date the conditions of the smart contract should be fulfilled.
Now, is there a waiting period for the host, the other host, for the smart contract between you and the other person?
Well, right now, the way you would define who it's between is you would really put it in the natural language piece, right? And then very shortly, soon, we're going to release if this, then that statements where you can make links between accounts, right? But really right now, the smart contract that you can make is just on around an event that'll happen for anybody who holds a unit of your smart contract, right? So you just make a smart contract and you give the unit of this, all of them or some of them or whatever amount you want to somebody. And then based on their ownership of the smart contract as a percentage, they would receive whatever that smart contract is going to do.
Now, in regards to SmartTrain, what is real-time revenue sharing?
Real-time revenue sharing is a smart contract type that we are excited about because we think it utilizes the full potential of this technology to create trust between two individuals. Namely, somebody who has a revenue stream, a verifiable electronic revenue stream, that they want to securely and verifiably distribute to somebody else. So let's say I'm a content site, right? And I generate 10 million uniques and I make $100,000. And I want to share my revenue stream with, XYZ person under ABC conditions, contractual conditions, right? What you can do now, what you couldn't do before, is that every time, let's say you put up 10% of that revenue stream for 6 months. What you can do now, what you couldn't do before is every time an ad is served, let's say it makes $1, 10 cents from that singular ad goes from the ad exchange to the smart contract. So the point of failure that we eliminate with real-time revenue sharing is that the money doesn't go to the person who owns the content site, right? It goes to the person who owns the content site makes a legal request to the ad exchange. He publishes that legal request, also in the smart contract. And it says to the ad exchange, hey, for the next 6 months, send 10% of all the revenue I would have gotten, send 10% of it to the smart contract, right? And then, let's say an ad makes $1, so 10 cents gets sent to the smart contract. There's 10 units of the smart contract, and so each person gets 1 cent, right? But none of those people have the risk that they will somehow increase the amount of ads that you show or increase your success in terms of revenue, and they will not receive their revenue. That possibility is no longer there. It eliminates a critical point of failure of trust between people for sharing a very valuable economic resource. Yeah, and if we can do it down to the resolution of real time, why wouldn't we? Right? We have this really cool technology, it can do this. Why would we do less? We can do more, so that's what we did.
Now, what is your short-term and long-term goals that you see with smart contracts?
So our short-term goals are to make them usable for folks, in terms of, on a personal level, people sharing to a market, sharing something to a larger market, an open market, as long as they comply with all the legal restrictions that they're supposed to comply with. And another piece is escrow services, where there's escrow conditioned to external data points, right? So those are features we want to launch. We want to make them. We've started launching them now. We want to make them highly usable for users. We don't take any money for any of this. So in the short term, we're taking a very long-term view. We don't charge anything. Any fees that you pay on Secure Asset Exchange are purely into the NXT network, because it's just a function of using a network, because you have to compensate the network for its work. That's how the network functions. That's how it grows. That's how it becomes valuable for the people that support it as nodes and things like this. Challenges are bad actors. So people who misuse this technology in some way that somehow leaves the other party in a bad position. There's some technological challenges with decentralized computing to make that piece a bit trustless. Yeah, there's just any number of risks. There's a certain technology risk with any new technology. It's technology risk we're comfortable with because the upside is just huge, right?
And remind us again, it's at www.secure.
So secureae.com. Yeah.
Any final words before we let you go to your speaking presentation?
Yeah, I guess I answered the short-term piece of what we want to do in the short term. I can just tell you what would be cool in the long term.
Yes.
I mean, the thing that kind of keeps me up at night, and the thing that gets me super excited, is that right now somebody like in Papua New Guinea or wherever could discover oil, right? They can discover a natural resource. They can discover something of value, and within the current system, they can make a ton of promises that they know at the time that they're making them they might not have to keep, because the legal infrastructure and the banking infrastructure and all these things that are supposed to enforce their promises, they won't, right? And that's why a lot of folks that control resources that really, in terms of just terms, belong to other people, make false promises, right? So the really cool thing, I think, would be if in the future, somebody gets a natural resource, or somebody gets a piece of a company or something that does belong to a larger group of people. And instead of them going out and making a bunch of vague promises, and we have a vision, and we have a this, and we have a that, instead of all these wonderful, nice terms to get to placate people into doing their will, they will make a smart contract. They will go, guys, we will take all the money, we will take the revenue stream from this. It will go here. I don't control where it goes. It'll go there, and when it gets there, it'll be distributed according to the ownership of these and these people, right? And all of that will go through a public ledger, and if at any point it stops, it'll become readily apparent to everybody. And if it stops, then we have all this money in escrow that if for whatever reason, the smart contract doesn't care what, for whatever reason, my promise that I made to you when we began out on this endeavor isn't being fulfilled, then all that money in escrow, guess where it goes? It goes back to you, right? And there's no legal process, there's no vagueness, there's no capacity for people to make very significant, important promises and not fulfill them. And I think as a general dynamic, that's going to improve society in the next 5, 10, 20 years to a really large degree. Because people will, you'll just be making a very valuable agreement, and you'll be like, oh, you want to do this? Okay, let's put it in a system that neither you or I can escape from, and we have to fulfill what we said. That's a world I would like to live in.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your passion with us, and also everything about Secure Asset Exchange.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much for joining us again. And this was CEO and co-founder of Secure Asset Exchange, Sergey Nazarov. I'm Stephen Chen here at Coin Congress, and thanks for watching Money and Tech.